Part 3, The Tale of Prince Sayf Al-Muluk. My laptop randomly cut us off and I don't know why or how. I didn't touch anything, didn't do anything, was just reading as per normal. But I heard a little blip. And the thing is, when it blipped to indicate that I was cut off, when I checked the video, it had actually stopped filming about 2 paragraphs before then. So there was a delay in letting me know it had even cut me off. So there's a genie in my laptop, or a Dybbuk in my laptop. I think Dybbuks mainly invade living bodies, but living humans, but possibly animals as well. But it's weird. It's weird that just happened, and it's thrown me a little bit. I was in the middle of reading and bing bam boom baby, off we went. So anyway, we'll carry on. Part 3. We were up to Sayf Al-Muluk had just come up to a palace that was tall of base, built by Japhet, son of Noah. And yes, it is of this palace that God the Most High speaketh in his precious book, when as he saith, and an abandoned well and a high builded palace. That's where we got cut off. I had to retrace my reading. So we'll carry on. Sayf Al-Muluk sat down at the gate and said in his mind, Would I knew what is within yonder palace, and what king dwelleth there, and who shall acquaint me whether its folk are men or jinn? Who will tell me the truth of the case? He sat considering a while, but, seeing none go in or come out, he rose, and committing himself to Allah Almighty, entered the palace and walked on till he had counted 7 vestibules, yet saw no one. Presently, looking to his right, he beheld 3 doors, while before him was a 4th, over which hung a curtain. So he went up to this, and raising the curtain, found himself in a great hall spread with silken carpets. At the upper end rose a throne of gold, whereon sat a damsel, whose face was like the moon, arrayed in royal raiment, and beautified as she were a bride on the night of her displaying. And I went into a bit of a segue about that, so it's interesting that that segue was cut off, so I won't repeat the segue. I'll take it on advisement from the spirits that they want me to remain positive and think only happy thoughts and delight in the love that is around me now and let go of the past. They're completely right, of course. Completely right. The past has nothing more to teach me, only the present and the future. At the foot of the throne was a table of 40 trays spread with golden and silvern dishes full of dainty viands. The prince went up and saluted her, and she returned his salam, saying, Art thou of mankind, or of the jinn? Replied he, I am a man of the best of mankind, for I am a king, son of a king. She rejoined, What seekest thou? Up with thee, and eat of yonder food, and after tell me thy past from first to last, and how thou camest hither. So he sat down at the table, and removing the cover from a tray of meats, he being hungry, ate till he was full, then washed his right hand, and going up to the throne, sat down by the damsel, who asked him, Who art thou, and what is thy name, and whence comest thou, and who brought thee hither? He answered, Indeed my story is a long, but do thou first tell me who and what and whence thou art, and why thou dwellest in this place alone. He's making a bit of an assumption there, that she's alone, I mean. She rejoined, My name is Daulat Khatun, and I am the daughter of the king of Hind, India. Which is kind of weird because there were many kings in India, different provinces from what I understand. But anyway, my father dwelleth in the capital city of Sarandib, and hath a great and goodly garden. There is no goodlier in all the land of Hind or its dependencies, and in this garden is a great tank. One day I went out into the garden with my slave women, and I stripped me naked, and they likewise, and entering the tank, fell to sporting and solacing ourselves therein. Presently, before I could beware, a something, as it were a cloud, swooped down on me, and snatching me up from amongst my handmaids, soared aloft with me betwixt heaven and earth, saying, Fear not, O Daulat Khatun, but be of good heart. Then he flew on with me a little while, after which he sat me down in this palace, and straightway, without stay or delay, became a handsome young man, daintily apparelled, who said to me, Now dost thou know me? Replied I, No, O my lord. And he said, I am the Blue King, sovereign of the Jan. My father dwelleth in the castle Al-Kulzum height, and hath under his hand 600,000 jinn, flyers and divers. It chanced that while passing on my way, I saw thee and fell in love with thee for thy lovely form. So I swooped down on thee and snatched thee up from among the slave girls and brought thee to this, the high builded castle, which is my dwelling place. None may fare hither, be he man or be he genie, and from Hind hither is a journey of 120 years. Wherefore do thou hold that thou wilt never again behold the land of thy father and thy mother. So abide with me here in contentment of heart and peace, and I will bring to thy hands, whatso thou seekest. Then he embraced me and kissed me, saying, Abide here and fear nothing. Whereupon he went away from me for an hour, and presently returned with his tables and carpets and furniture. He comes to me every third, and abideth with me 3 days, and on Friday, at the time of mid-afternoon prayer, he departeth and is absent till the following third. When he is here, he eateth and drinketh and huggeth and kisseth me, but doth naught else with me. And I am a pure virgin, even as Allah Almighty created me. My father's name is Taj Al-Muluk, and he wotteth not what is come of me, nor hath he hit upon any trace of me. This is my story. Now tell me thy tale. Answered the prince, My story is a long, and I fear lest while I am telling it to thee, the Ifrit come. Quoth she, He went out from me but an hour before thy entering, and will not return till third. So sit thee down and take thine ease and hearten thy heart, and tell me what hath betided thee from beginning to end. And quoth he, I hear and I obey, my kind of man. Well, hearing you, actually listening to you, and if necessary, when it's called upon, obeying you for whatever reason that might require obedience. It's very sweet to a woman's heart to know she's respected and cared for in that wise. I told you I don't live in your world and you live in mine. Now you know why. I'm an old-fashioned kind of gal. So, you have to love. But holding certain values, and having respect for oneself is edifying, especially as I go through life alone. So he fell to telling her all that had befallen him from commencement to conclusion. But when she heard speak of Badi'a al-Jamal, her eyes ran over with railing tears, and she cried, Oh, Badi'a al-Jamal, I had not thought this of thee. Alack for our luck! O Badi'a al-Jamal, dost thou not remember me, nor say, my sister Daulat Khatun, whither is she gone? And her weeping redoubled, lamenting for that Badi'a al-Jamal had forgotten her. Then said Sayf al-Muluk, O Daulat Khatun, thou art a mortal, and she is a Jinniya. How then can she be thy sister? Replied the princess, She is my sister by fosterage, and this is how it came about. My mother went out to solace herself in the garden, when labour pangs seized her and she bare me. Now the mother of Badi'a al-Jamal chanced to be passing with her guards, when she also was taken with travail pains. So she alighted in a side of the garden, and there brought forth Badi'a al-Jamal. She dispatched one of her women to seek food and childbirth gear of my mother, who sent her what she sought and invited her to visit her. So she came to her with Badi'a al-Jamal, and my mother suckled the child, who, with her mother, tarried with us in the garden 2 months. And before wending her ways, the mother of Badi'a al-Jamal gave my mother somewhat, saying, When thou hast need of me, I will come to thee amiddlemost the garden, and departed to her own land. But she and her daughter used to visit us every year, and abide with us a while before returning home. Sweet, isn't it? Wherefore and I were with my mother, O Sayf al-Muluk. And if thou wert with me in my own country, and Badi'a al-Jamal and I were together as of wont, I would devise some device with her to bring thee to thy desire of her. But I am here, and they know naught of me. For that an they kenneth what is become of me, they have power to deliver me from this place. However, the matter is in Allah's hands. Extolled and exalted be He. And what can I do? Quoth Sayf Al-Muluk, rise and let us flee and go whither the Almighty willeth. But quoth she, we cannot do that, for by Allah, though we fled hence a year's journey, that accursed would overtake us in an hour and slaughter us. So again, the differential in time between the fairy world or the genie world and their dimension and our time continuum and our dimension. Something to think about, people of Earth. Then said the prince, I will hide myself in his way, and when he passeth by, I will smite him with the sword and slay him. Because violence solves everything, doesn't it? We really are primitive, we humans. It's always our first reaction. Can't get what I want. Kill it. Eat it. Fuck it. Dear goddess. Dalat Khatun replied, thou canst not succeed in slaying him, save thou his soul. Asked he, and where is his soul? And she answered, many a time have I questioned him thereof, but he would not tell me, till one day I pressed him, and he waxed wroth with me, and said to me, how often wilt thou ask me of my soul? What hast thou to do with my soul? Indeed, mere mortal, know thy place in the known cosmos. I rejoined, O Hatim, there remaineth none to me but thou except Allah, and my life dependeth on thy life, and whilst thou livest, all is well for me. So, except I care for thy soul, and set it in the apple of mine eye, how shall I live in thine absence? And I knew where thy soul abideth. I would never cease whilst I lived to hold it in mine embrace, and would keep it as my right eye. Whereupon said he to me, what time I was born, the astrologers predicted that I should lose my soul at the hands of the son of a king of mankind. So I took it and set it in the crop of a sparrow, shut up the bird in a box. The box I set in a casket, and enclosing this in 7 other caskets and 7 chests, laid the whole in an alabastrine coffer, which I buried within the marge of yon earth-circling sea, for that these parts are far from the world of men, and none of them can win hither. So now see, I have told thee what thou wouldst know, and do thou tell none thereof, for it is a secret between me and thee. I rejoined, quoth she, to whom should I tell it, seeing that none but thou cometh hither, with whom I may talk thereof? Adding, by Allah, thou hast indeed set thy soul in the strongest of strongholds, to which none may gain access. How should a man win to it? unless the impossible be foreordained, and Allah decree like as the astrologers predicted. Thereupon the genie, peradventure one may come, having on his finger the seal ring of Solomon, son of David, on the twain be peace, and lay this hand with the ring on the face of the water, saying, by the virtue of the names engraven upon this ring, let the soul of such an one come forth. Whereupon the coffer will rise to the surface, and he will break it open and do the like with the chests and caskets, till he come to the little box, when he will take out the sparrow and strangle it, and I shall die. Then said Sayf Al-Muluk, I am the king's son of whom he spake, and this is the ring of Solomon, David's son, on my finger. I know, can't help myself. So rise, let us go down to the seashore. I'm sure not everybody named Davidson is an asshole, by the way. Just want to clarify that. Just because I had a lot of evil from that man doesn't mean that everyone is evil like him. But if I see the same kind of smoke on the water, the same kind of flavouring, evil is as evil does, babies. Anyway, so rise, let us go down to the seashore and see if his words be leal or leasing. I need to know what leal means. Leal. Loyal and honest, his leal duty to the king. What does it mean in Scottish? Loyal. Leal is a Scottish word, originally spelt L-E-L-E, from Middle English and dating from around 1300. For centuries it filled in for the word loyal in Scotland, so the author's throwing quite a few Scottish words, and clearly is Scottish. Well, no harm, no foul, but makes it a bit frustrating. You don't understand the words, but we know now. Thereupon the two walked down to the seashore, and the princess stood on the beach, whilst the prince waded into the water to his waist, and laying his hand with the ring on the surface of the sea, said, by the virtue of the names and talismans engraven on this ring, and by the might of Sulaiman bin Daoud, which is the Arabic name of Solomon, son of David, on whom be the peace. Which interestingly, David used to often refer to himself as Daoud. I found that kind of enchanting in a way. It's one of the reasons I loved him. Silly, isn't it? Silly reasons that you love people. Dear Goddess. Anyway. Well, I don't love him anymore. For obvious reasons. Took a lot to kill that love, by the way. He had to trample it almost to death. When I love amazingly and majestically with all of me, and most human mortal men can't handle it, quite frankly. Turned savage on me instead. That was the history. It's why I fear love to this day. Thanks for that, by the way. You bastards. But anyway, on we go. loving who we love, even the unattainable ones. Let the soul of Hatim, the genie, I'm trying not to cry here, by the way. It's a cruel fate. It really is. I'm living the fairy story like the dance of the red shoes dancing to my own eventual death, I suppose. But anyway, I'm making my own story, my own beautiful life, one breath at a time. Let the soul of Hatim, the genie, son of the Blue King, come forth. And my psychiatrist is right. I am truly loved. It's just a strange kind of love, but all my loves have been strange. Most of them were life-threatening as well. So I'm enjoying having someone love me for once that actually wanted to protect my neck from my own self-immolating mushing, actually cared about my existence on this planet, actually told me when the COVID epoch came about that he was worried for me rejecting the transmogrification of the almost fucking spiritual kind, and my response to him was, I've already died dozens of times in this incarnation. I don't fear death. I fear losing my humanness and my pristine body. It's pristine of what's left of it. He got quite a shock actually. Hadn't thought about it, but there is nothing to fear but fear itself, and not to bend over and be compliant with things coming from our global elitist, anti-humanist indoctrinations. And I was validated and vindicated in that, was I not? Many thought me crazy and stupid and called me names and marginalised me. Now when I tell you to obey me, you will obey me because you know I had the intellect and the common sense to see through the masquerade, literally the masquerade, charade, the diabolical destruction of our species. So here I sit, reading fairy stories, staying in my world, daughter of the gods that I am. It's a tad ironic and comical, to be honest. Anyway, but I love you all, my fellow humans. We're in this together, and fight we must with words and energy and intention. Living your best lives no matter what, no matter who, with harm to none, competition with none, impeding your will on no one, just doing what you love best. Your music, your art, your photography, your building buildings, painting houses, mowing lawns without destroying fucking everything. Whatever it is you do best, do it to the best of your abilities. Let me go back. I got lost in the space-time continuum. I got lost at the word all, didn't I? Right, let me go back a sentence. Thereupon the two walked down to the seashore, and the princess stood on the beach, whilst the prince waded into the water to his waist, and laying his hand with the ring on the surface of the sea, said, by virtue of the names and talismans engraven on this ring, and by the might of Sulaiman bin Daoud, the real Daoud, not the washed out motherfuckers I had the misfortune to meet, on whom be the peace. Let the soul of Hatim, the genie son of the Blue King, come forth. Whereat the sea boiled in billows, and the coffer of alabaster rose to the surface. Sayf Al-Muluk took it and shattered it against the rock, and broke open the chests and caskets, till he came to the little box, and drew thereout the sparrow. Then the twain returned to the castle, and sat down on the throne. But hardly had they done this, when, lo and behold, there arose a dust cloud, terrifying, and some huge thing came flying and crying, "Spare me, O king's son, and slay me not, but make me thy freedman, and I will bring thee to thy desire." Seems reasonable, doesn't it? Quoth Daulat Khatun, "The genie cometh, slay the sparrow, lest this accursed enter the palace, and take it from thee, and slaughter me, and slaughter thee after me." So the prince wrung the sparrow's neck, and it died, whereupon the genie fell down at the palace door, and became a heap of black ashes. Then said Daulat Khatun, "We are delivered from the hand of yonder accursed, but what shall we do now?" I mean, you have to laugh. He might not have killed them, he might have actually let them go home in gratitude for not being slayed. I guess it's hard to tell with genies, though. It can go either way. And Sayf al-Muluk replied, "It behoveth us to ask aid of Allah Almighty, who hath afflicted us. Belike he will direct us, and help us to escape from our strait, from this our strait." So saying, he arose, and pulling up 60 of the doors of the palace, which were of sandalwood and lean aloes, with nails of gold and silver. Wouldn't work, nails of gold and silver. It's too soft metals, in my opinion. That's why nails are made of iron or steel. Just say, it's a fairy story though, Tanya. Calm your farm. Bound them together with ropes of silk and floss silk and fine linen, and wrought of them a raft, which he and the princess aided each other to hale down to the seashore. They launched it upon the water till it floated, and making it fast to the beach, returned to the palace, whence they removed all the chargers of gold and saucers of silver and jewels and precious stones and metals, and what else was light of load and weighty of worth, and freighted the raft therein. Then they embarked, after fashioning 2 pieces of wood into the likeness of paddles, and casting off the rope moorings, let the raft drift out to sea with them, committing themselves to Allah the Most High, who contenteth those that put their trust in Him, and disappointeth not them who rely upon Him. Well, he did let her get kidnapped by a genie, so there was that. Just saying. My angels just said, well, there's a reason for everything, isn't there, Tanya? All right, you can argue that too. There is a reason for everything, and a season, a time to rejoice. They ceased not faring on thus 4 months, until their victual was exhausted, and their sufferings waxed severe, and their souls were straitened. So they prayed Allah to vouchsafe them deliverance from that danger. But all this time, when they lay down to sleep, Sayf Al-Muluk set Daulat Khatun behind him, and laid a naked brand at his back, so that, when he turned in sleep, the sword was between them. At last it chanced one night, when Sayf al-Muluk was asleep, and Daulat Khatun awake, that behold, the raft drifted landwards, and entered a port wherein were ships. The princess saw the ships and heard a man, he being the chief and head of the captains, talking with the sailors, whereby she knew that this was the port of some city, and that they were come to an inhabited country. So she joyed with exceeding joy, and waking the prince said to him, ask the captain the name of the city and harbour. Thereupon Sayf al-Muluk arose and said to the captain, O my brother, how is this harbour hight, and what be the names of yonder city and its king? Replied the captain, O false face, O frosty beard, and thou knew not the name of this port and city. That's odd. Trying to work out why the garbage truck is here today. They come on Wednesday mornings. That's where I was, confused with all of that. And what be the names of yonder city and its king? Replied the captain, O false face, O frosty beard, and thou knew not the name of this port and city? How camest thou hither? Quoth Sayf al-Muluk, I am a stranger, and had taken passage in a merchant ship, which was wrecked, and sank with all on board, but I saved myself on a plank, and made my way hither, wherefore I asked thee the name of the place, and in asking is no offence. Then said the captain, this is the city of Al-Mariya, and this harbour is called Kamin al-Bahrain. When the princess heard this, she rejoiced with exceeding joy and said, Praised be Allah. He asked, What is to do? And she answered, O Sayf al-Muluk, rejoice in succour near hand, for the king of the city is my uncle, my father's brother, and his name is Ali al-Muluk, adding, Say thou then to the captain, Is the sultan of the city, Ali al-Muluk, well? He asked, but the captain was wroth with him and cried, Thou sayest, I am a stranger and never in my life came hither. Who then told thee the name of the lord of the city? When Daulat Khatun heard this, She rejoiced and knew him for Mu'in al-Din, one of her father's captains. Now he had fared forth in search of her after she was lost, and finding her not, he never ceased cruising till he came to her uncle's city. Then she bade Sayf al-Muluk say to him, O Captain Mu'in al-Din, come and speak with thy mistress. So he called out to him as she bade, whereat he was wroth with exceeding wrath, and answered, O dog, O thief, O spy, who art thou, and how knowest thou me? Then he said to one of the sailors, Give me an ash stave, that I may go to yonder plaguing Arab and break his head. So he took the stick and made for Sayf al-Muluk, but when he came to the raft, he saw a something wondrous, beauteous, which confounded his wits, and considering it straightly, he made sure that it was Daulat Khatun sitting there, as she were a slice of the moon. Whereat he said to the prince, Who is that with thee? Replied he, A damsel by Daulat Khatun. When the captain heard the princess's name, and knew that she was his mistress, and the daughter of his king, he fell down in a fainting fit, and when he came to himself, he left the raft and whatso was thereon, and riding up to the palace, craved an audience of the king, whereupon the chamberlain went into the presence and said, Captain Mu'in al-Din is come to bring thee good news. So bid he be brought in. The king bade admit him. Accordingly he entered and, kissing ground, said to him, O king, thou owest me a gift for glad tidings, for thy brother's daughter, Daulat Khatun, hath reached our city safe and sound, and is now in a raft in the harbour, in company with a young man, like the moon on the night of its full. I don't know whether they mean that they're white or whether they're emanating some kind of lunar type glow. When the king heard this, he rejoiced and conferred a costly robe of honour on the captain. Then he straightway bade decorate the city in honour of the safe return of his brother's daughter, and sending for her, and Sayf al-Muluk saluted the twain, and gave them joy of their safety, after which he dispatched a messenger to his brother, to let him know that his daughter was found and was with him. As soon as the news reached Taj al-Muluk, he gat him ready and assembling his troops set out for his brother's capital, where he found his daughter, and they rejoiced with exceeding joy. He sojourned with his brother a week, after which he took his daughter and Sayf al-Muluk and returned to Sarandib, where the princess foregathered with her mother, and they rejoiced at her safe return, and held high festival, and that day was a great day, never was seen its like. As for Sayf al-Muluk, the king entreated him with honour, and said to him, O Sayf al-Muluk, thou hast done me and my daughter all this good for which I cannot requite thee, nor can any requite thee, save the Lord of the three worlds. But I wish thee to sit upon the throne in my stead, and rule the land of Hind, for I offer thee of my throne and kingdom, and treasures and servants, all this in free gift to thee. Whereupon Sayf al-Muluk rose and kissing the ground before the king, thanked him and answered, O King of the age, I accept all thou givest me, and return it to thee in freest gift. For I, O King of the age, covet not sovereignty, nor sultanate, nor desire aught but that Allah the Most High bring me to my desire. Rejoined the king, O Sayf Al-Muluk, these my treasures are at thy disposal. Take of them what thou wilt, without consulting me, and Allah requite thee for me with all weal. Quoth the prince, Allah advance the king, there is no delight for me in money or in dominion, till I win my wish. But now I have a mind to solace myself in the city, and view its thoroughfares and market streets. So the king bade him bring him a mare of the thoroughbreds, saddled and bridled, and Sayf al-Muluk mounted her, and rode through the streets and markets of the city. As he looked about him, right and left, lo, his eyes fell on a young man who was carrying a tunic and crying it for sale at 15 dinars. So he considered him and saw him to be like his brother Sa'id, and indeed it was his very self, but he was wan of blee, and changed for long strangerhood and the travails of travel, so that he knew him not. However, he said to his attendants, Take yonder youth, and carry him to the palace where I lodge, and keep him with you till my return from the ride, when I will question him. But they understood him to say, Carry him to the prison, and said in themselves, Haply this is some runaway Mameluke of his. So they took him and bore him to the bridewell, where they laid him in irons, and left him seated in solitude, unremembered by any. Presently, Sayf al-Muluk returned to the palace, but he forgot his brother Sa'id, and none made mention of him. It's a bit annoying, isn't it? Got an itchy hand. So he abode in prison, and when they brought out the prisoners to cut ashlar from the quarries, they took Sa'id with them, and he wrought with the rest. He abode a month's space in the squalor and sore sorrow, pondering his case and saying in himself, What is the cause of my imprisonment? While Sayf al-Muluk's mind was diverted from him by rejoicing and other things. But one day as he sat, he bethought him of Sa'id and said to his Mamelukes, Where is the white slave I gave into your charge on such a day? Quoth they, Didst thou not bid us bear him to the bridewell? And quoth he, Nay, I said not so. I bade you carry him to my palace after the ride. Then he sent his chamberlains and emirs for Sa'id, and they fetched him in fetters, and loosing him from his irons, set him before the prince, who asked him, O young man, what countryman art thou? And he answered, I am from Egypt, and my name is Sa'id, son of Faris the Wazir. Now hearing these words, Sayf al-Muluk sprang to his feet, and throwing himself off the throne and upon his friend, hung on his neck, weeping aloud for joy, and saying, O my brother, O Sa'id, praised be Allah for King Asim. Then they embraced and shed tears together, and all were present marvelled at them. After this, Sayf al-Muluk bade his people bear Sa'id to the Hammam bath, and they did so. When he came out, they clad him in costly clothing, and carried him back to Sayf Al-Muluk, who seated him on the throne beside himself. When King Taj al-Muluk heard of the reunion of Sayf al-Muluk and his brother Sa'id, he joyed with joy exceeding and came to them, and the three sat devising of all that had befallen them in the past from first to last. Then said Sa'id, O my brother, O Sayf al-Muluk, when the ship sank with all on board, I saved myself on a plank with a company of Mamelukes, and it drifted with us a whole month, when the wind cast us by the ordinance of Allah Almighty upon an island. So we landed, and entering among the trees took to eating of the fruits, for we were an-hungered. Whilst we were busy eating, there fell on us unawares folk like Ifrits, and springing on our shoulders rode us and said to us, Go with us, for ye are become our asses, meaning donkeys. Just needed to clarify that, please. So I said to him who had mounted me as a donkey, What art thou, and why mountest thou me? At this he twisted one of his legs about my neck till I was all but dead, and beat upon my back the while the other leg with the other leg, till I thought he had broken my backbone. So I fell to the ground on my face, having no strength left in me for famine and thirst. From my fall he knew that I was hungry, and taking me by the hand, led me to a tree laden with fruit, which was a pear tree, and said to me, Eat thy fill of this tree. So I ate till I had enough, and rose to walk against my will. But ere I had fared afar, the creature turned, and leaping on my shoulders again drove me on, now walking, now running, and now trotting, and he the while mounted on me, laughing, and saying, Never in my life saw I a donkey like unto thee. We abode thus for years, till one day of the days it chanced that we saw there great plenty of vines covered with ripe fruit. So we gathered a quantity of great bunches, and throwing them into a pit, trod them with our feet till the pit became a great waterpool. Then we waited a while, and presently returning thither, here and there. There is a difference, people, between here and there. Found that the sun had wroughten on the grape juice, and it was become wine. So we used to drink it till we were drunken, and our faces flushed, and we fell to singing and dancing and running about in the merriment of drunkenness. Whereupon our masters said to us, What is it that reddeneth your faces, and maketh you dance and sing? We replied, Ask us not what is your quest in questioning us hereof. But they insisted, saying, You must tell us so that we may know the truth of the case. Till we told them how we had pressed grapes and made wine. Quoth they, Give us to drink thereof. But quoth we, The grapes are spent. So they brought us to a wadi, whose length we knew not from its breadth, nor its beginning from its end, wherein were vines, each bunch of grapes on them weighing 20 pounds by the scale, and all within easy reach, And they said, "Gather of these." So we gathered a mighty great store of grapes, and finding there a big trench bigger than the great tank in the king's garden, we filled it full of fruit. This we trod with our feet, and did with the juice as before, till it became strong wine, which it did after a month. Whereupon we said to them, "'Tis come to perfection, but in what will ye drink it?" And they replied, "We had asses like unto you, but we ate them and kept their heads. So give us to drink in their skulls." We went to their caves, which we found full of heads and bones of the sons of Adam, and we gave them to drink. When they became drunken and lay down, nigh 200 of them. Then we said to one another, "Is it not enough that they should ride us, that they must eat us also?" There is no majesty, and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. But we will ply them with wine, till they are overcome by drunkenness, when we will slay them, and be at rest from them. Accordingly we awoke them, fell to filling the skulls, and gave them to drink. But they said, "This is bitter." We replied, "Why say ye 'tis bitter? Whoso saith thus, except he drink of it 10 times, he dieth the same day." When they heard this, they feared death, and cried to us, "Give us to drink the whole 10 times." So we gave them to drink, and when they swallowed the rest of the 10 draughts, they waxed drunken exceedingly, and their strength failed them, and they availed not to mount us. As donkeys riding them not, well, who knows? Perish the thought. Thereupon we dragged them together by their hands, and laying them one upon another, collected great plenty of dry vine stalks and branches, and heaped it about and upon them. Then we set fire to the pile, and stood afar off to see what became of them. As soon the fire was burnt out, we came back and found them a heap of ashes, wherefore we praised Allah Almighty, who had delivered us from them. It's pretty nasty in a way though. I mean, they kind of deserved it, I suppose, with all that mounting and all, but burning people alive, not nice. I don't feel good about that. Not pleasant. It's a witch thing. Then we went forth about the island, and sought the seashore, where we parted, and I and 2 of the Mamelukes fared on, till we came to a thick copse full of fruit, and there busied ourselves with eating, and behold, presently up came a man tall of stature, long of beard, and lengthy of ear, with eyes like cressets. Cressets. It's probably another Scottish word. It's funny that I'm reading a book written by a Scotsman, translated by a Scotsman, because I have Scottish ancestry, and the ancestors are with me often in the past 6 or 8 years. A metal container of oil, grease, wood and coal set alight for illumination and typically mounted on a pole. Kind of looks like that. Eyes for cressets implies here glowing eyes like burning coal. Okay. And I lost my place. It's not like me to lose my place, people have heard. Here we go. Eyes like cressets, here we are. Driving before him and feeding a great flock of sheep. When he saw us, he rejoiced and said to us, Well, come and fair welcome to you. Draw near me that I may slaughter you and you of these sheep and roast it and give you to eat. Quoth we, Where is thine abode? And quoth he, Hard by yonder mountain, go on towards it till ye come to a cave and enter therein. For you will see many guests like yourselves, and do ye sit within, whilst we make ready for you the guest meal. We believed him, so fared on, as he bade us, till we came to the cavern, where we found many guests, sons of Adam like ourselves. But they were all blinded, and when we entered, one said, I'm sick, and another, I'm weak. So we cried to them, What is this you say, and what is the cause of your sickness and weakness? They asked, Who are ye? And we answered, We are guests. Then said they, What hath made you fall into the hands of yonder accursed? But there is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah the glorious and the great. This is a ghoul who devoureth the sons of Adam, and he hath blinded us, and meaneth to eat us. Said we, And how did he blind you? And they replied, Even as he will blind yourselves anon. Quoth we, And how so? And quoth they, He will bring you bowls of soured milk, and will say to you, Ye are weary with wayfare, take this milk and drink it, and when ye have drunken thereof, ye will become blind like us. Said I to myself, There is no escape for us but by contrivance. So I dug a hole in the ground and sat over it. After an hour or so, in came the accursed ghoul with bowls of milk, whereof he gave to each of us, saying, Ye come from the desert, and are athirst, so take this milk and drink it, while I roast you the flesh. I took the cup and carried it to my mouth, but emptied it into the hole. Then I cried out, Alas, my sight is gone, I am blind. And clapping my hand to my eyes, fell a weeping and a wailing, whilst the accursed laughed and said, Fear not, thou art now become like mine other guests. But as for my two comrades, they drank the milk and became blind. You'd think you would have warned them, wouldn't you? It's a bit selfish. Thereupon the ghoul arose. It's a bit like, well, you know what happened in the last 4 years. Those that willfully shilled and pedalled and shrieked and squawked like chickens. Dead bodies. Thereupon the ghoul arose, and stopping up the mouth of the cavern came to me and felt my ribs, but found me lean and with no flesh on my bones. So he tried another, and finding him fat, rejoiced. Then he slaughtered 3 sheep and skinned them, and fetching iron spits, spitted the flesh thereon and set them over the fire to roast. When the meat was done, he placed it before my comrades, who ate, and he with them. After which he brought a leather bag full of wine, and drank thereof, and lay down prone and snored. Said I to myself, he's drowned in sleep. How shall I slay him? Then I bethought me of the spits, and thrusting 2 of them into the fire, waited till they were as red-hot coals. Whereupon I arose and girded myself, and taking a spit in each hand, went up to the accursed ghoul and thrust them into his eyes, pressing upon them with all my might. He sprang to his feet for sweet life, and would have laid hold of me, but he was blind. So I fled from him into the inner cavern, whilst he ran after me. But I found no place of refuge from him, nor whence I might escape into the open country, for the cave was stopped up with stones. Wherefore I was bewildered, and said to the blind men, How shall I do with this accursed? Replied one of them, O Sa'id, with a run and a spring, mount up to yonder niche, and thou wilt find there a sharpened scimitar of copper. Bring it to me, and I will tell thee what to do. So I climbed to the niche, and taking the blade, returned to the blind man, who said to me, Smite him with the sword in his middle, and he will die forthright. So I rushed after the ghoul, who was weary with running after me, and felt for the blind men that he might kill them, and coming up to him, smote him with the sword a single stroke across his waist, and he fell in twain. Then he screamed and cried out to me, O man, an thou desire to slay me, strike me a second stroke. Accordingly, I was about to smite him another cut, but he who had directed me to the niche and the scimitar said, Smite him not a second time, for then he will not die, but will live and destroy us. So I held my hand as he bade me, and the ghoul died. Then said the blind man to me, Open the mouth of the cave, and let us fare forth, so haply Allah may help us, and bring us to rest from this place. And I said, No harm can come to us now. Let us rather abide here and repose, and eat of these sheep and drink of this wine, for long is the land. Accordingly we tarried there 2 months, eating of the sheep and the fruits of the island, and drinking the generous grape juice, till it so chanced one day, as we sat upon the beach, we caught sight of a ship looming large in the distance. So we made signs for the crew, and hollered to them. They feared to draw near, knowing that the island was inhabited by a ghoul who ate Adamites, and would have sheered off, but we ran down to the marge of the sea, and made signs to them with our turband ends, and shouted to them, whereupon one of the sailors who was sharp of sight, said to the rest, "Hark ye, comrades, I see these men formed like ourselves, for they have not the fashion of ghouls." So they made for us, little by little, till they drew near us in the dinghy, and were certified that we were indeed human beings. When they saluted us, and we returned their salam, and gave them the glad tidings of the slaying of the accursed, wherefore they thanked us. Then we carried to the ship all that was in the cave of stuffs and sheep and treasure, together with a viaticum of the island fruits, such as should serve us days and months, and embarking, sailed on with a fair breeze 3 days, at the end of which the wind veered round against us, and the air became exceeding dark. Nor had an hour passed before the wind drove the craft onto a rock, where it broke up and its planks were torn asunder. However, the great God decreed that I should lay hold of one of the planks, which I bestrode, and it bore me along 2 days, for the wind had fallen fair again, and I paddled with my feet a while, till Allah the Most High brought me safe ashore, and I landed and came to the city, where I found myself a stranger, solitary, friendless, not knowing what to do, for hunger was sore upon me, and I was in great tribulation. Thereupon I, O my brother, hid myself, and pulling off this my tunic, carried it to the market, saying in my mind, I will sell it and live on its price till Allah accomplish to me whatso He will accomplish. Be'ezrat Hashem. Indeed. Then I took the tunic in my hand, and cried it for sale, and the folk were looking at it and bidding for it, when, O my brother, thou camest by, and seeing me commandest me to the palace, but thy pages arrested and thrust me into the prison. And there I abode till thou bethoughtest thee of me, and badest bring me before thee. So now I have told thee what befell me, and Alhamdulillah, glorified be God, for reunion. Much marvelled the 2 kings at Said's tale, and Taj al-Muluk, having made ready a goodly dwelling for Sayf al-Muluk and his wazir, Daulat Khatun used to visit the prince there and thank him for his favours and talk with him. One day he met her and said to her, O my lady, where is the promise thou madest me in the palace of Japhet, son of Noah, saying, were I with my people, I would make shift to bring thee to thy desire? And Said said to her, O princess, I crave thine aid to enable him to win his will. Still dreaming of his fairy princess genie, am I right? The man's heart is true, never gives up on his woman. I like a man like that. As long as, she wants him in return. She doesn't even know he exists, so don't know how that's going to go, people of Earth. Could go either way. Answered she, Yea, verily, I will do my endeavour for him, that he may attain his aim, if it please Allah Almighty. And she turned to Sayf al-Muluk and said to him, Be of good cheer, and keep thine eyes cool and clear. Then she rose, and going into her mother said to her, Come with me forthright, and let us purify ourselves and make fumigations, that Badi'a al-Jamal and her mother may come and see me and rejoice in me. Answered the queen, with love and goodly gree, and rising, betook herself to the garden, and burnt off these perfumes which she always had by her. Sounds like incense. Nor was it long before Badi'a al-Jamal and her mother made their appearance. The queen of Hind foregathered with the other queen, and acquainted her with her daughter's safe return, whereat she rejoiced, and rejoiced in each other. Then they pitched the pavilions, and dressed dainty viands, and made ready the place of entertainment, whilst the two princesses withdrew to a tent apart, and ate together, and drank, and made merry, after which they sat down to converse. And Badi'a al-Jamal said, What hath befallen thee in thy strangerhood? Replied Daulat Khatun, O my sister, how sad is severance, and how gladsome is reunion. Ask me not what hath befallen me. Oh, what hardships mortals suffer. Cried she, How so? And the other said to her, O my sister, I was immured in the high-builded castle of Japhet, son of Noah, whither the son of the Blue King carried me off, till Sayf Al-Muluk slew the genie and brought me back to my sire. And she told her to boot all that the prince had undergone of hardships and horrors before he came to the castle. Badi'a al-Jamal marvelled at her tale and said, By Allah, O my sister, this is the most wondrous of wonders. The Sayf al-Muluk is indeed a man, but why did he leave his father and mother, and betake himself to travel, and expose himself to these perils? Quoth Daulat Khatun, I have a mind to tell thee the first part of his history, but shame of thee hindereth me therefrom. Quoth Badi'a al-Jamal, Why shouldst thou have shame of me, seeing that thou art my sister and my bosom friend, and there is much ill mattle between thee and me, and I know thou willest me naught but well. Tell me then what thou hast to say. Suddenly it's getting very hot in here. Very hot indeed, like a kind of humidity. Had some peanuts. Tell me then what thou hast to say, and be not abashed at me, and hide nothing from me, and have no fear of consequences. Answered Daulat Khatun, By Allah, all the calamities that have betided this unfortunate have been on thine account, and because of thee. Asked Badi'a al-Jamal, How so, O my sister? And the other answered, Know that he saw thy portrait wrought on a tunic which thy father sent to Solomon, son of David, on the twain be peace. And he opened it, not neither looked at it, but dispatched it, with other presents and rarities, to Asim bin Safwan, king of Egypt, who gave it still unopened to his son Sayf Al-Muluk. The prince unfolded the tunic, thinking to put it on, and seeing thy portrait, became enamoured of it. Wherefore he came forth in quest of thee, and left his folk and reign, and suffered all these terrors and hardships on thine account. When Badi'a al-Jamal heard this, she blushed rosy red, and was confounded at Daulat Khatun, and said, Verily, this may never, never be, for man accordeth not with the Jan. Then Daulat Khatun went on to praise Sayf al-Muluk and extol his comeliness and courage and cavalaries, meaning he's a very good horseman, rider, cavalry. He's not a donkey or an ass. Just saying, by the gods. And ceased not repeating her memories of his prowess and his excellent qualities, till she ended with saying, For the sake of Almighty Allah and of me, O sister mine, come and speak with him, though but one word. But Badi'a al-Jamal cried, By Allah, O sister mine, this that thou sayest I will not hear, neither will I assent to thee therein. And it was as if she heard naught of what the other said, and as if no love of Sayf al-Muluk and his beauty and bearing and bravery had gotten hold upon her heart. She doesn't know him, does she? Like, it's a bit cheeky how they just assume they see a picture of a woman in a tunic, albeit a Jean princess, just assume that she's going to be available to him. She's going to want him. The chutzpah of it. I'm with the genie on this one. My kind of girl. Then Daulat Khatun humbled herself and said, O Badi'a al-Jamal, by the milk we have sucked, guilt tripping, Yiddish mama guilt tripping that's called, or in their case, Muslim mother guilt tripping, which I'm pretty sure would be pretty much the same. It's intense people there. By the milk we have sucked, I and thou, and by that which is graven on the seal ring of Solomon, on whom be peace. Hearken to these my words, for I pledged myself in the high-builded castle of Japhet to show him thy face. So Allah upon thee, show it to him once, and for the love of me, and look thyself on him. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Ah well, they didn't have TV and Netflix and movies in those days. One man's happy ever after could be another woman's disaster. Not much has changed in human sexual relationships ever since. Can go opposite ways too. A woman can be a man's undoing too. Let's be fair here. Fair play. But anyway. And she ceased not to weep and implore her and kiss her hands and feet and her feet. That's a commitment, people. Till she consented and said, for thy sake I will show him my face once, and he shall have a single glance. Oh dear goddess, that's not going to go good. He's been obsessed with her for years, just based on a picture alone. With that, Daulat Khatun's heart was gladdened, and she kissed her hands and feet. Then she went forth and fared to the great pavilion in the garden, and bade her slave woman spread it with carpets, and set up a couch of gold, and place the wine vessels in order, after which she went into Sayf Al-Muluk and to his wazir Sa'id, whom she found seated in their lodging, and gave the prince the glad tidings of the winning of his wish, saying, go to the pavilion in the garden, thou and thy brother. It's probably also not such a good idea. We know how men compete sexually. They do. They all do it. It's like a game to them. It's a challenge. It's like sport. And hide yourselves there from the eyes of men, so none in the palace shall espy you, till I come to you with Badia al-Jamal. So they rose and repaired to the appointed pavilion, where they found the couch of gold set and furnished with cushions, and meat and wine ready served. So they sat a while, whilst Sayf al-Muluk bethought him of his beloved, and his breast was straitened, and love and longing assailed him. Wherefore he rose and walked forth from the vestibule of the pavilion. Sa'id would have followed him, but he said to him, O my brother, follow me not, but sit in thy stead till I return to thee. Well, that's all right, he wasn't completely stupid there. By the gods. So Sa'id abode seated, whilst Sayf al-Muluk went down into the garden, drunken with the wine of desire, and distracted for excess of love longing and passion fire. Yearning agitated him, and transport overcame him, and he recited these couplets. O passing fair, I have none else but thee. Pity the slave in thy love's slavery. Thou art my search, my joy, and my desire. None save myself shall love this heart of mine. Would heaven I knew thou knewest of my wails, night long and eyelids oped by memory. Bid sleep to sojourn on these iron lids. Haply in vision I thy sight shall see. Show favour then to one thus love distraught. Save him from ruin by thy cruelty. Allah increase thy beauty and thy weal, and be thy ransom every enemy. So shall on doomsday lovers range beneath thy flag, and beauties 'neath thy banner be. Then he wept and recited these also. That rarest beauty ever bides my foe, who holds my heart and lurks in secrecy. Speaking, I speak of nothing save her charms, and when I'm done in heart core, runneth she. Then he wept sore and recited the following. And in my liver higher flames the fire. You are my wish, and longsome still I yearn. To you, none other, bend I, and I hope lovers long-suffering are, your grace to earn. And that you pity me, whose frame by love is waste, and weak as heart with sore concern. Relent, be generous, tender-hearted, kind. From you I'll never remove, from you ne'er turn. Then he wept and recited these also. Came to me care when came the love of thee, cruel sleep fled me like thy cruelty. Tells me the messenger that thou art wroth. Allah forfend what evils told me he. Presently Said waxed weary of awaiting him, and going forth in quest of him, found him walking in the garden, distraught and reciting these two couplets. By Allah, by the Almighty, by His right, who read the Quran, chapter Fatir height, ne'er roam my glances o'er the charms I see. Thy grace, rare beauty, is my talk by night. So he joined him, and the twain walked about the garden together, solacing themselves, and ate of its fruits. Such was their case. But as regards the two princesses, they came to the pavilion, and entering therein after the eunuchs had richly furnished it, according to command, sat down on the couch of gold, beside which was a window that gave upon the garden. The castratos then set before them all manner rich meats, and they ate, Dalat Hatun feeding her foster sister by mouthfuls till she was satisfied, when she called for divers kinds of sweetmeats, and when the neutrals brought them, they ate what they would of them, and washed their hands. Neutrals and castratos are presumed refer to eunuchs. After this, Dalat Hatun made ready wine and its service, setting on the ewers and bowls, and she proceeded to crown the cups and give Badia al-Jamal to drink, filling for herself after and drinking in turn. Then Badia al-Jamal looked from the window into the garden, and gazed upon the fruits and branches that were therein, till her glance fell on Sayf Al-Muluk, and she saw him wandering about the parterres, followed by Said, and she heard him recite verses, raining the while railing tears. and that glance of eyes cost her 1,000 signs. And she turned to Dalat Khatun, or is it Daulat? Daulat? I've probably been saying it wrong the whole time. Dear Goddess, it's too late now. And said to her, and indeed the wine sported with her senses. Oh, my sister, who is that young man I see in the garden, distraught, love abiding, disappointed, sighing? Quoth the other, dost thou give me leave to bring him hither, that we may look on him? And quoth the other, and thou can avail to bring him, bring him. So Daulat or Daulat Khatun, the struggle was real, people, called to him, saying, O King's son, come up to us and bring us thy beauty and thy loveliness. Daoud's in the background laughing his head off, by the way. Go back to the light, Daoud. Sayf Al-Muluk recognised her voice and came up into the pavilion. But no sooner, it's probably him that gave me the correct pronunciation at long last. Dear Goddess. Well, he likes me to win, since he utterly destroyed me when he was alive. So there is that. I'll give him that. Son of a bitch. Anyway, where were we? Sayf Al-Muluk recognised her voice and came up into the pavilion. But no sooner had he set eyes on Badi'a al-Jamal than he fell down in a swoon, whereupon Daulat Khatun sprinkled on him a little rose water, and he revived. Then he rose and kissed ground before Badi'a al-Jamal, who was amazed at his beauty and loveliness. And Daulat Khatun said to her, Know, O princess, that this is Sayf al-Muluk, whose hand saved me by the ordinance of Allah Almighty. And he it is who hath borne all manner burdens on thine account. Wherefore I would have thee look upon him with favour. Hearing this, Badi'a al-Jamal laughed and said, And who keepeth faith that this youth should do so? For there is no true love in men. Just kind of got a point there. But there are some men who do love truly. I know there are. Somewhere out there in the world. Cried Sayf al-Muluk, O princess. Davidson just yelled out. I'm glad to see that we didn't all contaminate you, Tanya. No, but God knows you tried. Cried Sayf al-Muluk, O princess, never shall lack of faith be in me, and all men are not created alike. And he wept before her and recited these verses. O thou Badi'a al-Jamal, show thou some clemency to one those lovely eyes oppressed with witchery. By rites of beauteous hues and tints thy cheeks combine of snowy white and glowing red anemone. Punish not with disdain one who is sorely sick by long, long parting waste, hath waxed this frame of me. This is my wish, my will, the end of my desire, and union is my hope, and haply this may be. Then he wept with violent weeping, and love and longing got the mastery over him, and he greeted her with these couplets. Peace be to you from lovers' wasted love. We know all about that one, don't we, babies? And noble hearts to noble favour show. Peace be to you. Ne'er fail your form my dreams, nor hall nor chamber the fair sight forego. Of you I'm jealous, none may name your name. Lovers to lovers I should bend thee low. So cut not off your grace from him who loves, while sickness wastes and sorrows overthrow. I watch the flowery stars which frighten me, while cark and care mine every night fall slow. Nor patience bides with me, nor plan appears. What shall I say when questioned of my foe? God's peace be with you in the hour of need, peace sent by lover, patient, bearing woe. He's a romantic, but he's also a little bit weak, I have to say. But let us see what she does with him, people of earth. Then, for the excess of his desire and ecstasy, he repeated these couplets also. If I to aught save you, O lords of me, incline, ne'er may I win of you my wish, my sole design. Who doth comprise all loveliness save only you? Who makes the doomsday dawn e'en now before these eyne? Far be it love find any rest, for I am one who lost for love of you this heart, these vitals mine. Well, it's true, you can die of a broken heart. Ask me how I know. When he had made an end of his verses, he wept with sore weeping, and she said to him, O Prince, I fear to grant myself wholly to thee, lest I find in thee nor fondness nor affection, for oftentimes man's fidelity is small, and his perfidy is great. And thou knowest how the Lord Solomon, son of David, on whom be the peace, took Bilquis to his love, but whenas he saw another fairer than she, turned from her thereto. Solomon, who had 300 concubines, or was it 600? A lot, yes. Could hardly call him a faithful, devoted, loving man. Sayf, Al-Muluk replied, O my eye and O my soul, Allah hath not made all men alike, and I, Inshallah, will keep my troth and die beneath thy feet. Soon shalt thou see what I will do in accordance with my words, and for whatso I say, Allah is my warrant. Quoth Badi'a al-Jamal, sit and be of good heart, and swear to me by the right of thy faith, and let us covenant together that each will not be false to other, and whichever of us breaketh faith, may Almighty Allah punish. Here's the thing though, when the love is really potent and really authentic and genuine and real and soul nourishing and beautiful and romantic and passionate and kind and nurturing and loyal and faithful, you don't look for anyone else. Trust me on that one. You have no, you'll have friends obviously, but there's no desiring to take another lover. There is not, if the love is real and respectful and honouring. But maybe I ask too much from the other humans, other mortals. I ask only what I've never ever had in the past. Anyway, Mama T's okay. I could finish out this life alone if I have to. I'm okay with that. It's not so bad. It's preferable. And tonight I will dance, wildly and joyously as I do every weekend. At these words he sat down and set his hand in her hand. I'm so itchy today, I don't know why. And they swear each to other that neither of them would ever prefer to the other anyone, neither of man or of the Jan. It's a heavy vow to keep, because life is long. But as I say, when you really, really adore each other, there's no one else. No one. Then they embraced for a whole hour and wept for excess of their joy, whilst passion overcame Sayf Al-Muluk, and he recited these couplets. I weep for longing love's own ardency to her who claims the heart and soul of me, and soars my sorrow parted long from you, and shorts my arm to reach the prize I see, and mourning grief for what my patience marred, to blame as I unveiled my secrecy, and waxed straight that bylone was so wide. I think I'm going to bloody choke. Patience nor force remains, nor power to dree. Would heaven I knew if God will ever deign to join our lives and from our cark and care and grief set free. He wants us happy ever after. I get it. After this mutual troth plighting, Sayf Al-Muluk arose and walked in the garden, and Badi'a al-Jamal arose also, and went forth also afoot, followed by a slave girl bearing somewhat of food and a flask of wine. The princess sat down, and the damsel set the meat and wine before her, nor remained they long ere they were joined by Sayf Al-Muluk, who was received with greeting, and the two embraced, and sat them down a while to eat and drink. Then said she to him, O king's son, thou must now go to the garden of Iram, where dwelleth my grandmother, and seek her consent to our marriage. My slave girl Mariana will convey thee thither, and as thou farest therein, thou wilt see a great pavilion of red satin, lined with green silk. Enter the pavilion, heartening thyself, and thou wilt see inside it an ancient dame, sitting on a couch of red gold set with pearls and jewels. Salute her with respect and courtesy. Then look at the foot of the couch, where thou wilt descry a pair of sandals of cloth, interwoven with bars of gold, embroidered with jewels. Take them and kiss them, and lay them on thy head. Then put them under thy right armpit, and stand before the old woman in silence and with thy head bowed down. If she ask thee, Who art thou, and how camest thou hither, and who led thee to this land, and why hast thou taken up the sandals? Make her no answer, but abide silent till Mariana enter, when she will speak with her, and seek to win her a proof for thee, and cause her look on thee with consent. So haply Allah Almighty may incline her heart to thee, and she may grant thee thy wish. Then she called the handmaid Mariana hight, and said to her, As thou lovest me, do my errand this day, and be not neglectful therein. And thou accomplish it, thou shalt be a free woman for the sake of Allah Almighty, and I will deal honourably by thee with gifts, and there shall be none dearer to me than thou, nor will I discover my secrets to any save thee. So, by my love for thee, fulfil this my need, and be not slothful therein. Replied Mariana, O my lady and light of mine eyes, tell me what is it thou requirest of me, that I may accomplish it with both mine eyes. Badia rejoined, Take this mortal on thy shoulders, and bear him to the bloom garden of Iram, and the pavilion of my grandmother, my father's mother, and be careful of his safety. When thou hast brought him into her presence and seest him take the slippers, dear goddess, and do them homage, and hearest her ask him, saying, Whence art thou, and by what road art come, and who led thee to this land, and why hast thou taken up the sandals, and what is thy need, that I give heed to it? Do thou come forward in haste, and salute her with the salam, and say to her, O my lady, I am she who brought him hither, and he is the king's son of Egypt. 'Tis he who went to the high-builded castle, and slew the son of the Blue King, and delivered the princess Daulat Khatun from the castle of Japhet, son of Noah. All right, Davidson. And brought her back safe to her father. I mean, I can stand corrected. It's okay. By ghosts of former lovers. It's a bit fucking weird, but... And I have brought him to thee, that he may give thee the glad tidings of his safety. So deign thou be gracious to him. You know, here's the weird thing. I'll just segue a little bit. I grew up watching the movie The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. Which was a delightful movie. Now I'm fucking living that unreality reality. It's a bit much, isn't it? Dear goddess. Well, I don't have to. I'm going to send them to the light. This was a man who treated me like dirt and despised me, by the way, by and large, overall. When you look at the whole picture, aligned with my enemies, all of them, all 12 of them. Now he haunts me, trapped in limbo. Oh well, the Holy One and all manifestations of holiness. There's a reason for everything. Might be beyond my own mortal ken. So we won't be wrestling too much with that dibuk. Just saying. Do thou say to her, Allah upon thee, is not this young man handsome, O my lady? She will reply, yes, and do thou rejoin. I think that's where we were up to. I'm starting to get tired, people of earth. I'm drifting on a sea of, I don't know what I'm drifting on. And she will rejoin, and do thou rejoin. O my lady, indeed he is complete in honour and manhood and valour, and he is Lord and King of Egypt, and compriseth all praiseworthy qualities. And she asked thee, what is his need? Do thou make answer. My lady saluteth thee and saith to thee, how long shall she sit at home, a maid and unmarried? Indeed the time is longsome upon her, for she is as a magazine wherein wheat is heaped up. I don't think they mean a magazine that you read. Pardon me. What? It's going to go on my gears. It's going to go on my gears. Storage space or device. Right, that makes sense. What then is thine intent in leaving her without a mate? And why dost thou not marry her in thy lifetide and that of her mother, like other girls? She's probably not like other girls. She might be a little bit unique. Someone you're looking at in this video. I know, it's weird, but some of us are not cut out for the institution of marriage. If she say, how shall we do to marry her? And she have anyone in mind, let her tell us of him, and we will do her will as far as may be. Do thou make answer. Davidson's yelling in my ear, that's not true. Just because you had a really bad experience doesn't mean, it will keep repeating. He can talk. How many times were you married, Davidson? Quite a few, actually. Anyway, let us continue. Do thou make answer, O my lady, thy daughter saith to thee, ye were minded aforetime to marry me to Solomon, on whom be peace, and portrayed him my portrait on a tunic. But he had no lot in me, so he sent the tunic to the king of Egypt, and he gave it to his son, who saw my portrait figured thereon, and fell in love with me. Wherefore he left his father and mother's realm, and turning away from the world and whatso is therein, went forth at a venture, a wanderer, love distraught, and hath borne the utmost hardships and honours for my sake of me. Now thou seest his beauty and loveliness, and my daughter's heart is enamoured of him. So if ye have a mind to marry her to this young man, and forbid her not from him, for he is young and passing comely, and King of Egypt. Nor wilt thou find a goodlier than he. And if ye will not give her to him, she will slay herself and marry none, neither man nor Jan. And, continued Badi'a al-Jamal, look thou, O Mariana, Mami, how thou mayest do with my grandmother, to win her consent, and beguile her with soft words, so haply she may do my desire. Quoth the damsel, O my lady, upon my head and eyes will I serve thee, and do what shall content thee. Then she took Sayf Al-Muluk on her shoulders and said to him, O king's son, shut thine eyes. He did so, and she flew up with him into the welkin, and after a while she said to him, O king's son, open thine eyes. He opened them and found himself in a garden, which was none other than the garden of Iram. And she showed him the pavilion and said, O Sayf al-Muluk, enter therein. Thereupon he pronounced the name of Allah Almighty, and entering cast a look upon the garden. When he saw the old queen sitting on the couch, attended by her waiting women. So he drew near her with courtesy and reverence, and taking the sandals, bussed them, and did as Badi'a al-Jamal had enjoined him. Quoth the ancient dame, Who art thou, and what is thy country? Whence comest thou, and who brought thee hither, and what may be thy wish? Wherefore dost thou take the sandals and kiss them? And when didst thou ask of me a favour which I did not grant? With this in came Mariana, and saluting her reverently and worshipfully, repeated to her what Badi'a al-Jamal had told her, which when the old queen heard, she cried out at her and was wroth with her, and said, How shall there be accord between man and Jan? But Sayf al-Muluk replied, Indeed, I will conform to thy will, and be thy page, and die in thy love, and will keep with thee covenant, and regard none but thee. So right soon shalt thou see my truth, and lack of falsehood, and the excellence of my manly dealing with thee, inshallah. The old woman pondered for a full hour, with brow earthwards bent, meaning she frowned. After which she raised her head and said to him, O thou beautiful youth, wilt thou indeed keep compact and covenant? He replied, Yes, by him who raised the heavens and dispread the earth upon the waters, I will indeed keep faith and troth. Thereupon quoth she, I will win for thee thy wish, inshallah, But for the present go thou into the garden, and take thy pleasure therein, and eat of its fruits, that have neither like in the world nor equal, whilst I send for my son Shahyal, and confabulate with him of the matter. Nothing but good shall come of it, so Allah please, for he will not gainsay me nor disobey my commandment, and I will marry thee with his daughter, Badi'a al-Jamal. So be of good heart, for she shall assuredly be thy wife, O Sayf Al-Muluk. The prince thanked her for those words, and kissing her hands and feet, went forth from her into the garden, while she turned to Mariana and said to her, Go seek my son, Shahyal, wherever he is, and bring him to me. So Mariana went out in quest of King Shahyal, and found him, and set before his mother. On such wise fared it with them, but as regards Sayf al-Muluk, whilst he walked in the garden, lo and behold, 5 jinn of the people of the Blue King espied him, and said to one another, Whence cometh yonder wight, and who brought him hither? Haply 'tis he who slew the son and heir of our lord and master, the Blue King. Presently adding, But we will go about with him, and question him, and find out all from him. So they walked gently and softly up to him, as he sat in a corner of the garden, and sitting down by him said to him, O beauteous youth, thou didst right well in slaying the son of the Blue King, and delivering from him Daulat Khatun, for he was a treacherous hound, and had tricked her, and had not Allah appointed thee to her, she had never won free, no, never. But how didst thou slay her? Sayf al-Muluk looked at them, and deeming them of the garden folk, answered, I slew him by means of this ring, which is on my finger. Therewith they were assured that it was he who had slain him. So they seized him, 2 of them holding his hands, whilst other 2 held his feet, and the 5th his mouth, lest he should cry out and King Shahyal's people should hear him and rescue him from their hands. Then they lifted him up, and flying away with him ceased not their flight, till they came to their king, and set him down before him, saying, O King of the age, we bring thee the murderer of thy son. Where is he? Asked the king, and they answered, This is he. So the Blue King said to Sayf al-Muluk, How slewest thou my son, the core of my heart, and the light of my sight, without aught of right, for he has done thee no ill deed? Quoth the prince, Yea, verily, I slew him because of his violence and frowardness, and that he used to seize kings' daughters and sever them from their families, and carry them to the ruined well and the high-builded castle of Japhet son of Noah, and entreat them lewdly by debauching them. I slew him by means of this ring on my finger, and Allah hurried his soul to the fire and the abiding place, dire. He means hell, or the Islamic equivalent of hell. Must ask Rati if Muslims believe in hell. Therewithal, the king was assured that this was indeed he who slew his son. So presently he called his wazirs and said to them, This is the murderer of my son, sans shadow of doubt. So how do you counsel me to deal with him? Shall I slay him with the foulest slaughter, or torture him with the terriblest torments? Or how? Quoth the chief minister, Cut off his limbs, one a day. Another, Beat him with a grievous beating every day till he die. A third, Cut him across the middle. A fourth, Chop off all his fingers and burn him with fire. A fifth, Crucify him. And so on, each speaking according to his rede. Now, there was with the Blue King an old emir, versed in the vicissitudes and experienced in the exchanges of the times. And he said, O King of the age, verily I would say to thee somewhat, and thine is the rede whether thou wilt hearken or not to my say. Now he was the king's privy councillor, and the chief officer of his empire, and the sovereign was wont to give ear to his word, and conduct himself by his counsel, and gainsay him not in aught. So he rose, and kissing ground before his liege lord, said to him, O King of the age, if I advise thee in this matter, wilt thou follow my advice and grant me indemnity? Quoth the king, Set forth thine opinion, and thou shalt have immunity. Then quoth he, O King of the age, an thou slay this one, nor accept my advice, nor hearken to my word, in very sooth I say that his death were now inexpedient, for that he is thy prisoner and in thy power, and under thy protection. So whenas thou wilt, thou mayest lay hand on him and do with him what thou desirest. Have patience then, O King of the age, for he hath entered the garden of Iram, and is become the betrothed of Badi'a al-Jamal, daughter of King Shahyal, and one of them. Thy people seized him there, and brought him hither, and he did not hide his case from them or from thee. So an thou slay him, assuredly King Shahyal will seek blood revenge, and lead his host against thee for his daughter's sake, and thou canst not cope with him, nor make head against his power. So the king hearkened to his counsel, and commanded to imprison the captive. Thus fared it with Sayf al-Muluk, but as regards the old queen, grandmother of Badi'a al-Jamal, when her son Shahyal came to her, she dispatched Mariana in search of Sayf al-Muluk, but she found him not, and returning to her mistress said, I found him not in the garden. So the ancient dame sent for the gardeners and questioned them of the prince. Quoth they, We saw him sitting under a tree, when behold, 5 of the Blue King's folk alighted by him, and spoke with him, after which they took him up, and having gagged him, flew away with him. When the old queen heard the damsel's words, it was no light matter to her, and she was wroth with exceeding wrath. So she rose to her feet and said to her son, King Shahyal, Thou art a king, and shall the Blue King's people come to our garden and carry off our guests unhindered, and thou alive? She proceeded to provoke him, saying, It behoveth not that any transgress against us during thy lifetime. Answered he, O mother of me, this man slew the Blue King's son, who was a genie, and Allah threw him into his hand. He is a genie, and I am a genie. How then shall I go to him and make war on him for the sake of a mortal? It's a bit awkward, I must admit. But she rejoined him, Go to him and demand our guest of him. And if he be still alive, and the Blue King deliver him to thee, take him and return. But an he have slain him, take the king and all his children and harem and household depending on him. Then bring them to me alive, that I may cut their throats with my own hand, and lay in ruins his reign. Ooh, grandmother's a powerful queen, my goddess. Except thou go to him and do my bidding, I will not acquit thee of my milk, and my rearing of thee shall be counted unlawful. Thereupon Shayal rose, and assembling his troops, set out in deference to his mother, desiring to content her and her friends, and in accordance with whatso had been foreordained from eternity without beginning. Nor did they leave journeying till they came to the land of the Blue King, who met them with his army and gave them battle. The Blue King's host was put to the rout, and the conquerors, having taken him and all his sons, great and small, and grandees and officers, bound and brought them before King Shayal, who said to the captive, O Azrak, where is the mortal Sayf Al-Muluk, who whilome was my guest, who previously was my guest? Answered the Blue King, O Shayal, thou art a genie, and I am a genie. And is it on account of a mortal who slew my son that thou hast done this deed? Yea, the murderer of my son, the core of my liver and solace of my soul. How couldst thou work such work and spill the blood of so many thousand jinn? He has a point. I mean, loyalty to your own species, am I right? Even humans can't be fucking loyal to their own species. Why would you defend them if you were G? I certainly bloody well wouldn't. Answered the Blue King, O Shayal, thou art a genie, and we've read that. Sorry, getting all very excited, aren't I? Getting a little bit carried away. Sometimes fairy stories are wonderful teaching moments on morals and ethics, the art of living and the art of war. Just so. He replied, Leave this talk. Knowest thou not that a single mortal is better in Allah's sight than 1,000 jinn? If he be alive, bring him to me, and I will set thee free, and all whom I have taken of thy sons and people, and thou have slain, and thou have slain him, I will slaughter thee and thy sons. Quoth the Malik al-Azraq, O king, is this man of more account with thee than my son? And quoth Shahyal, Verily thy son was an evil doer, who kidnapped kings' daughters, and shut them up in the ruined well and the high builded castle of Japhet son of Noah, and entreated them lewdly. Then said the Blue King, He is with me, but make thy peace between us. So he delivered the prince to Shahyal, who made peace between him and the Blue King. And Al-Azraq gave him a bond of absolution for the death of his son. So the lesson there is stick to the truth and hold your line and stick to your guns, people of Earth and all other interdimensional entities. Truth remains the truth. Then Shahyal conferred robes of honour on them and entertained the Blue King and his troops hospitably for 3 days, after which he took Sayf Al-Muluk and carried him back to the old queen his own mother, who rejoiced in him with an exceeding joy. And Shahyal marvelled at the beauty of the prince, and his loveliness, and his perfection. Then the prince related to him his story from beginning to end, especially what did befall him with Badi'a al-Jamal, and Shahyal said, O my mother, since 'tis thy pleasure that this should be, I hear and I obey all that to command it pleaseth thee. Wherefore do thou take him, and bear him to Sarandib, and there celebrate his wedding, and marry him to her in all state. For he is a goodly youth, and hath endured horrors for her sake. So she and the maidens set out with Sayf al-Muluk for Sarandib, and entering the garden belonging to the Queen of Hind, foregathered with Da'ulat Khatun and Badi'a al-Jamal. Then the lovers met, and the old queen acquainted the 2 princesses with all that had passed between Sayf al-Muluk and the Blue King, and how the prince had been near hand to a captive's death, but in repetition is no fruition. Then King Taj al-Muluk, father of Da'ulat Khatun, assembled the lords of his land and drew up the contract of marriage between Sayf al-Muluk and Badi'a al-Jamal, and he conferred costly robes of honour and gave banquets to the lieges. Then Sayf al-Muluk rose and, kissing the ground before the king, said to him, O king, pardon. I would fain ask of thee somewhat, but I fear lest thou refuse it to my disappointment. Taj al-Muluk replied, By Allah, though thou soughtest my soul of me, I would not refuse it to thee, after all the kindness that thou hast done me. Quoth Sayf al-Muluk, I wish thee to marry the Princess Da'ulat Khatun to my brother Sa'id, and we will both be thy pages. Pardon me. I hear and obey, answered Taj al-Muluk. And assembling his grandees a second time, let draw up the contract of marriage between his daughter and Sa'id, after which they scattered gold and silver, and the king bade decorate the city. So they held high festival, and Sayf al-Muluk went in unto Badi'a al-Jamal, and Sa'id went in unto Daulat Khatun on the same night. History repeating there a bit, isn't it? Moreover, Sayf al-Muluk abode 40 years with Badi'a al-Jamal. So 40 days, which isn't very long, is it? So I can't help myself. Abode 40 days with Badi'a al-Jamal, at the end of which she said to him, O King's son, say me, is there left in thy heart any regret for aught? And he replied, Allah forfend, I have accomplished my quest, and there abideth no regret in my heart at all, but I would fain meet my father and my mother in the land of Egypt, and see if they continue in welfare or not. So she commanded a company of her slaves to convey them to Egypt, and they carried them to Cairo, where Sayf al-Muluk and Sa'id foregathered with their parents, and abode with them a week, after which they took leave of them, and returned to Sarandib city, and from this time forwards, whenever they longed for their folk, they used to go to them and return. Then Sayf al-Muluk and Badi'a al-Jamal abode in all solace of life and its joyance, as did Sa'id and Daulat Khatun, till there came to them the destroyer of delights and severers of societies, and they all died good Muslims. So glory be to the living one, who dieth not, who createth all creatures, and decreeth to them death, and who is the first without beginning, and the last without end. This is all that hath come down to us of the story of Sayf al-Muluk and Badi'a al-Jamal, and Allah alone wotteth the truth. But not less excellent than this tale is the tale of the tailor, which is the next story we are going to read. Didn't we already read A Tale of a Tailor? I've got deja vu. Let me go back. Fisherman. No. Where did I think that I had read that before? The Barber's Tale, we read. The Sleeper and the Waker, Sinbad the Sailor. Well, tomorrow, or sometime in the ensuing days, I'll probably be quite tired tomorrow after my wild dancing with my handsome, talented, wonderful men. Egos are playing tonight. I'm getting cold, can you believe it? It went from hot, cold, turn the bloody thing off for a while. I'll have a rest from air conditioning, I think. But anyway, thus concludes the third video of the tale of Sayf al-Muluk. It's 29 degrees outside. It's very, very hot. I think I'll go and have a little bit of a rest. Quite worn out today. So, there we go. I've accomplished something today, people of Earth. I finished that story. So, wherever you are in the space-time continuum, have a beautiful day. Stay happy, stay wild, stay free. If you're a human, stay human. If you're a pussycat, stay a cat. If you're a dog, stay a dog. If you're a tree, stay a tree. Till the next time your atoms get reconfigured into some other life form. But whatever it is, live your best life, and remember, never ever let the bastards grind you down, and always cleave to your truth. You saw how that won out in the end of that story. I love it. I love it a lot. Makes me happy. Bye, my darling.